We begin in Gaza, where witnesses and the Hamas-run health ministry say Israeli airstrikes and gunfire killed dozens of people on Monday. One of those attacks reportedly killed nearly 30 civilians, including a journalist at a crowded seaside cafe in Gaza City. The Israeli army says that it will review the incident. We have this report now and a warning: some of the images may be disturbing.
A Palestinian news agency has released footage of the frantic efforts to help the wounded in the immediate aftermath of the Israeli strike. They said many of those killed and wounded were local residents, just enjoying a drink at the beach. One eyewitness said the bomb appeared to come out of nowhere.
Suddenly, without any warning, an F-16 missile fell on this place. Those sitting here were all families, including women, children and young men, as well as the owners of the place. There was no prior warning.
The Israeli military said it was targeting militants and had struck, quote, several Hamas terrorists, but also that it had launched a review into the strike. The cafe, located on Gaza City's coastal promenade, was one of the few businesses to continue operating throughout the 20-month conflict. It was also said to be popular with activists and journalists who went there for internet access and to charge their devices.
They were all families here, no wanted people. They hit us, unarmed civilians and children. That's what happened. We found ourselves thrown into the air.
The strike and others came after Israel announced it would intensify and expand military operations in Gaza. At least 70 people were reported killed on Monday, with scores killed or injured while trying to get aid. One hospital in the southern city of Khan Yunis said it received the bodies of people shot while returning from an aid site, linked to the controversial Israeli and US-backed Gaza Humanitarian Foundation.
And for more now, I'm joined by Martin Roux. He's head of the crisis desk at Reporters Without Borders. It's good to have you with us. This seafront cafe that was hit, we understand that it was popular with journalists who would go there for internet access, for example. Tell me, what's your reaction to news of this attack?
Yes, thank you for having me. As you said, the cafe was known for having numbers of journalists, notably for the internet connection. So again, we condemn very firmly this bombing of the Al-Baka cafe. We know that one reporter was killed, Ismail Abu Hatab, who was a photojournalist. He was only 34. There is also another journalist, Bayan Abu Sultan, who was injured. We're still, at the time of talking right now, collecting information. Perhaps there are more journalists that have been injured. So far, we cannot conclude that this was intentionally targeting journalists. But again, the cafe was known for having a lot of journalists, not only journalists, but also intellectuals, artists. And we have been in the past seen that the Israeli army has targeted intentionally journalists. That what we were able to confirm at Reporters Without Borders. According to our data, there are at least 200 journalists that have been killed in the Gaza Strip since October 2023, including 45 that were targeted because of their journalistic work or that were targeted while reporting.
Well,
and for
Martin,
that, we have raised so far 4 complaints with the ICC against the Israeli army.
I want to ask you, too, about the dangers that journalists face trying to report from Gaza, because we've mentioned many times here that getting into Gaza for foreign journalists is practically impossible, but there are journalists inside the Gaza Strip, right?
Yes, of course. There are many journalists in the Gaza Strip, many very talented Palestinian journalists from the Gaza Strip that are facing great danger trying to report on this Israeli military aggression on the Gaza Strip. As I just said before, 200 of them have been killed since October 2023. I think we should pause and reflect on this number. We've been repeating in the media that us at Reporters Without Borders that 200 Palestinian journalists have been killed since October 2023. But this is a huge number. This is unacceptable. This is unprecedented. And again, in many of these cases, we can conclude that they were intentionally targeted. And so far, we're not seeing enough pressure on the Israeli government, on the Israeli army, for this to stop.
Martin, what kind of obligation does Israel have to protect journalists in war zones under international law?
You know, not only Israel, but this is simply international law. And that's why I mentioned before that we have raised so far 4 complaints with the ICC against the Israeli army, because targeting journalists is a war crime. Journalists have to be protected, even in war zones. So yes, Israel has to commit to this, because this is international law, and this is not only targeted against Israel. This is something that we've been saying at Reporters Without Borders everywhere in the world when it was necessary.
Yeah. Martin Roux, head of the crisis desk at Reporters Without Borders, helping us bring this story to the world of how difficult and how dangerous it is to report on the situation in Gaza. Martin, thank you.